Hi everyone, PlayDoh here, and today we'll be going over the best Technomancer build in Outriders. Full credit to Nalier and dudewithablunt as the homies were in the lab making this build the best version it could be. A huge shout out to Halo Spark for the amazing intro montage. Builds in Outriders has always been measured by clear speed, whether we like it or not, and this Blightstorm build basically makes Techno the new Ash Blast Overheat Pyro in Enoch. PCF tried their best to not make a degen build like this possible, but you know, here we are. Can't go nerfing this now, PCF. Looking at you, Arcs. You made this, you wanted this, now live with the results. Look, I wanted to call this build Blight Baby, but got vetoed, okay? I still think it's a pog name, even though it's a bit cringe. You know what? Heck Blightstorm, hashtag Blight Baby. The reason this build has jumped its way to the top of the food chain is because of the interaction with Haste and Influence, which got buffed, and the Flame Leper set bonus of Blightfire eating Toxic. More on this later. Let's get started with our skills, but first, a reminder to what the Flame Leper set bonus does for us. Inflicting Toxic to an enemy 3 times transforms the status into Blightfire, which deals more damage over time. For our skills, we'll be running Cold Snap, Blighted Rounds, and Fixing Wave. Cold Snap is our main source of DPS in this build when combined with the 3 Cold Snap mods we'll be using in Ice Baby, Long Winter, and Icicle Storm. Blighted Rounds are used to juice our damage for Blighted Rounds and Cold Snap with the mods Alchemical Mastery and To the Bone. It's also our Toxic Applicator to take advantage of the interaction with Haste and Influence and the Flame Leper set with Blightfire. Fixing Wave is here for one purpose, and that's to combine it with Quartermaster so we never lose rounds. Moving to our class tree, I'm going to give you guys 2 options. But before we get to these options, let's quickly mention the 15% skills life leech we get natively for just being a Technomancer. This is going to be nice as it will be additional damage for us when combined with the override PAX Tree. Awesome. While I could go over every single node, I'm not going to, as I want to give another huge shout out to dudewithablunt, who has done proper testing for every single possible combination to come up with these best 2 trees. The current class tree you're looking at gives us the best damage. One thing to note is that we're always going to want to take at least one gadgeteering node to assist our Cold Snap cooldown. While yes, we get a crap ton of reduced cooldown with Haste and Influence PAX node, more cooldowns equals more damage for this build. Now, some of you might say, what about the skills life leech node so we can synergize it with the bonus we get from override in our PAX tree? Well, with lots of testing, the conclusion is that the skills life leech node are a bait. Stick with gadgeteering for that hot cooldown for your snaps. For the second class tree we'll be looking at, this one gives us equally good damage, albeit just a tad bit less, but with both gadgeteering nodes for maximum snap cooldown reduction. Feel free to mess around with both of these trees and see which one you end up liking more. You honestly can't go wrong with either. Heading to our PAX tree, we are going full bottom tree with the Undying, which increases our weapons leech and skills leech by 5% for every 5% of our missing health. This ties in really well with the next node in Override, which increases our Anomaly power by 100% of our skills life leech. Don't forget about skills life leech on our weapons and gear too, as that will also help give a bit more damage from this node. Moving forward, we'll be taking Apothecary as this is required to move forward to take Haste and Influence. This node recently got buffed from reducing our cooldowns of our skills for every status removed by you or applied to an enemy by any player. Prior to the patch, it was 0.5 seconds and now it's a full second, which is hot. Now this part is important, so I want you all to pay attention here. Haste and Influence will not work if you keep reapplying the same status, and this is why the Flame Leper set bonus is key to this build and your infinite cooldowns. When the Flame Leper set bonus procs, it eats up your Toxic application, so instead of refreshing Toxic, you're applying Toxic for the first time with every shot, hence our infinite cooldowns. Don't forget that we'll also be applying the freeze status when we use our Cold Snap, as well as your friends applying and removing statuses in co-op. That being said, for our last PAX node, we'll be taking Burrowing Charge. This was also buffed as to now the internal cooldown for this node is 3 seconds versus 5 seconds. Critical shots inject enemies with an explosive charge for 5 seconds, dealing 250% of Anomaly power as damage upon the next critical shot taken. This build, while amazing with mob clear, does have a slower boss kill, but Burrowing Charge does help in that regard. For our Ascension Points, we of course want to focus on Anomaly damage for our first 10, and then you can branch out to Anomaly Power, Resistance Pierce, Skills Life Leech, Status Power, Armor Pierce, Damage to Elites, Increased Mag Size, Crit Chance, etc. You'll have enough Ascension Points eventually spec into everything, so feel free to choose what works best for you after Anomaly damage. Let's now get to the juice, our gear, starting with our weapon. For this build, you can pretty much use any weapon, however the weapon does need to have Armor Pierce as an attribute. Armor Pierce, Status Power, and Skills Life Leech are the attributes you want on a God roll. For the weapon we're currently using, we have the Heir to the Desert, a tactical AR that comes with the God roll attributes, and mine was fortunate to drop with Fortress as the Apocalypse mod slot. We slapped on Mage's Rage there, so we can now have more Anomaly power. Quick note, PCF actually managed to make Mage's Rage work as intended and is now giving us a 40% additive bonus to our Anomaly power. You can also use other weapons here like the Fatal Symbiont, the Wicker, and Charred Lance if you want, as those are also good guns that gives you the stats you want for this build. All these guns are good, however, I prefer the tactical AR for the consistent crits and the higher base damage to help with the leads. A true God rule gun for this build would be a purple AR with Armor, Status, Skills Life Leech, and Fortress or Mage's Rage on the Apocalypse slot, Anomaly Enhancement on the T2 mod slot, so you can mod out the garbage T1 mod for whichever you didn't roll on the Apocalypse slot. Now you may think, damn PlayDoh, no one's ever going to get that gun, and you'd be wrong. I've gotten quite close to getting this roll by simply not playing the video game and vendor farming instead on all of my characters each time the vendors refresh. Remember guys, vendors have the highest chance of selling purple Apocalypse gear with hot T3 mods. We don't really need to worry about secondaries or pistols for this build as we won't be swapping off of our main weapon, so let's head to our armor. For this build, the stats we want to prioritize for our gear is going to be 1 Anomaly Power, 2 Status Power, and 3 Skills Life Leech or cooldown reduction depending how your RNG feels for your purples. This is why we are running the head, chest, and pants for the Leper set as it comes with those juicy attributes that will take this build to the next level. For our headpiece, we are running the Flame Leper Veil with Alchemical Mastery, Captain Hunter, and Anomaly Echo. Alchemical Mastery is a no-brainer here as it comes with the Veil, giving us a weapon damage or Anomaly power bonus equal to 15% of our status power based on which is higher. Since we will always have higher Anomaly power, this is a good boost in our damage, as dudewithablunt has confirmed that Alchemical Mastery only takes into account bonus status power and gives us additive percentage Anomaly power. So in our case, 15% of 204.9 bonus status power gives us a 30% additive Anomaly power increase. Please note that the bonus status power is equal to the status power shown on the stat screen. Captain Hunter is a no-brainer. Like I always say, 16% damage to elites is really nice and super important for us since our bossing could use all the help it can get. For the Apocalypse mod, we have Anomaly Echo, which is great as it provides a nice amount of firepower and Anomaly power for this build. For our chest piece, we have the Flame Leper robe with Party Starter, Icicle Storm, and no resistance against the Fortified. Party Starter we can ignore here as it does nothing for our build. It makes our fixing wave more fixing wavy, but other than that it does nothing solo, but I guess it does have some use in co-op. This is just the better mod out of the two on this set piece. Quick note, you can actually go purple chest here and use Flame Leper gloves instead if you're min-maxing for speedrunning, so we end up with no dead mods on the build. But that's if you're hardcore and have good timing for the license to heal window, as this version will not use Quartermaster. For our second mod, we have Icicle Storm. Every Cold Snap build runs this, and for good reason. Paired with the upcoming Ice Ice Baby mod, enemies don't even have a chance, bruh. For our Apocalypse mod, we have no resistance against the Fortified to take advantage of converting 65% of our Armor Pierce into Resistance Pierce, which is great as we will be running Toxic Piercer and Unstoppable Force to take full advantage of this. More on these two mods in just a bit. To complete our Flame Leper set bonus, we have the Waistcloth with the mods V-Compound, Quartermaster, and Shatter. V-Compound is great as again it's Captain Hunter Light and provides us with a 10% damage to elites afflicted with Toxic or Blight Fire. Quartermaster is self-explanatory as this is how we keep our infinite Blighted Rounds. Shatter is also self-explanatory as 16% damage to enemies afflicted with freeze is a nice touch and is the best mod that can actually roll as an Apocalypse mod for this build. Moving to our gloves, we have a pretty decent roll here with Long Winter, To the Bone, and Radical Therapy. Long Winter so we can maximize our Cold Snap range for those juicy clears. To the Bone, as a 15% anomaly damage when Blighted Rounds is active, is a huge, and I mean huge, damage boost. Anomaly damage, not to be confused with Anomaly Power, is the single best stat in the game, and if you're not using this mod for this build, you better start now. For Apocalypse mod, we have Radical Therapy. It's fine, it's not the best, but it's not the worst either. I'm gonna go ahead and keep vendor hopping every single day to find my God Roll gloves that come with either Power Assimilation or Arms and Anomaly on that Apocalypse slot. And last, but not least, we have our boots with Ice Ice Baby, the juicy mod that makes this build pop off. Toxic Piercer and Unstoppable Force. Ice Ice Baby combined with Icicle Storm is what takes this build to the next level when we spam our Cold Snaps. When using Cold Snap with Ice Ice Baby, enemies afflicted with freeze will receive an additional X damage. See where I'm going with this? Blight, Blight, baby! So you may be asking, why are we not running Painful Chill, PlayDoh? Well, Painful Chill is not that amazing compared to Ice Ice Baby. Now, I also want you guys to pay close attention here. Ice Ice Baby, for whatever PCF logic, will show up as Painful Chill in your damage graph once you complete a trial or expedition. Just ignore it and know that all of the damage is actually coming from Ice Ice Baby. If you don't have anything else better, or a piece of gear just comes with Painful Chill, it's totally okay to use. Just know that it's not the best option. Our second mod here is Toxic Piercer, which synergizes really well with our no resistance against the fortified combo, and is actually the best T2 mod you can actually roll on boots for this build. The effectiveness of Toxic is equal to 100% of our resistance pierce, which is going to be 66% in our case. Who doesn't love more damage? Finishing off this build is our Apocalypse mod Unstoppable Force. We get a 50% anomaly power boost equal to our resistance pierce. In our case, this is going to be a 33% anomaly power increase as we have a total of 66% resistance pierce. Nice. Just remember, all of this is possible with the synergies in the build with the armor pierce we get from our gun and Ascension tree, and combining that with no resistance against the fortified. Alright, let's tackle some tips and tricks. Be mindful at times when spamming your Cold Snap off cooldown, especially on some maps. Frontline comes to mind as you'll just be freezing enemies in spawn. Make sure to not neglect shooting your gun to reduce your cooldown even more with Hastened Influence. Remember what we said earlier. When the Flame Leper set bonus procs, it eats your Toxic application you're applying with your Blighted Rounds, so instead of refreshing Toxic, you're applying Toxic for the first time with every shot. Hit those crit shots when possible, and especially on bosses and elites. We want to keep Mage's Rage procced as well as taking advantage of Burrowing Charge for bossing. You can actually use Fixing Wave during your reload animation to not lose rounds and get them back to 100% with Quartermaster. It's pretty nice since sometimes you're just blasting and forget to keep track of ammo. I've done this a lot. Alternatively, you can just keep spamming Fixing Wave since the cooldown on this will be just as fast as Cold Snap. Overall, this build is pretty simple. Spam Cold Snap, shoot, spam some more Cold Snap, spam Fixing Wave, and profit. That's it for this one, and as always, thanks to each and every single one of you that have made it this far. Feel free to check out any of my other Outriders videos that should be popping up anytime now. Make sure you also click that Discord link in the pinned comments down below, and also catch me live at twitch.tv/PlayDohBear. If you want, you can also consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. As always, until the next one, peace.